I'm joined this morning with a very talented group of high school students from Iowa. Now, if you live in the Midwest, there is no better place to be right now than the Florida Keys. These students left the bitter cold for 14 days to explore the culture, the Everglades, the ocean, and more. They'll tell us all about their experiences this morning. All right, Ben, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. Ben, tell me what you're comparing and contrasting down here in the Keys.
Well, back home I live on a lake, so I've always been kind of interested in how it's been regulated and what the quality is like. So I'm comparing the water quality between Spirit Lake and the ocean down here.
What's your experience been like so far down here? Well, I guess what has the overall experience been down here since you guys are taking off?
Oh, it's been great. I'll never forget that first step after we come off the plane and it's just like 70 degrees and you're like, oh, wow, I could live here. But we're going back tomorrow. But it's just been great. I've just enjoyed the weather, and it's a fun group of people down here, and I love to see how close we've gotten after this trip.
Is there one memory that just comes to mind as being your favorite memory?
Definitely going to the high school and definitely meeting the new people. I had a lot of fun meeting some new people at the high school.
Would you say the students at the Key West High School are different than the students at your
Oh
high
yes,
school?
very, very different. There's a lot different variety of cultures between the two schools. There's only about 400, 500 people in our class, so I know every single face in the hallway. I can name every single one. But I think Key West has like around 4,000 or 5,000, so you meet new people every day, and it's definitely different to see how much bigger they were.
Will you be staying in touch with anybody that you met down here in the Keys?
Yes, actually.
All right, great. Will you be coming back to the Keys anytime soon?
Hopefully. Definitely been a life-changing experience down here, so I hopefully will come back.
Wonderful. That's all. Thank you.
All right.
Tyler, why don't you start by telling me your role down here in the Keys?
Well, unlike the other kids down here, I got to film everything because I'm interested in broadcasting and new stuff like your profession. So that's what I kind of focused my time on down here.
What would you say was one of your highlights of the trip?
Oh, probably, even though I was sick most of the day, it was probably the deep sea fishing. Just because a lot of people were having fun, and I wasn't having fun personally because I'm not too good with the big waves.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just fun to see everybody kind of out of their comfort zone because some people back home don't go fishing a lot. So when they reel up a fish, it would kind of scare them. And I just thought it was funny.
So you got seasick on the trip?
That's an understatement. I got very seasick.
Was that your first time deep sea fishing?
Yes, but I've been on the lake, so I didn't really take any medicine beforehand to prepare myself because I'd been always okay on our lakes back home. And the ocean was a whole new game for me, so it kind of caught me off guard and it beat me that day. So.
Well, you're not alone. My first time too, I got very sick too. And it's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
It's terrible.
Was this your first time down here in the Keys?
Yes, it was my first time in the Florida Keys, so.
Will you be coming back?
Hopefully, yes. I love it down here. I want to move down here.
Tell me just about the overall experience. Describe it to me in a couple of sentences.
It's life-changing. Back home, there's not very much going on where we live because we're in Beauregard, Iowa. But now we come down to a new environment and our whole horizon just broadens. And you see the world from a completely different angle, and it's just really neat to kind of just understand as a teenager just what you want to do with your life. So, it's really cool.
All right. Ellie, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. Tell me about your role while you were here in the Keys.
Basically, I compared entertainment from back home to here, and it's obviously a lot different because back home we have the 4 seasons, and here there's only 2. So we have, in the winter, we have winter games like skiing, jumping in the frozen lake, snowmobiling and all that, and then in the summer we have our lake, so we also have paddleboarding, boating, and concerts and stuff. So it's a lot different from down here.
Now, you are the first girl that I'm talking to. In
Yeah.
fact, you were the only girl in this group
Yeah.
of 9 boys, 1 girl. What was that like?
It was interesting, honestly. Eventually, some of the guys started calling me mom because I did some laundry, filled some water bottles. That was interesting. It's kind of like being here with 9 brothers, though, so it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say was your favorite part of the trip?
I liked snorkeling. That was really cool. There's a lot of cool fish. We saw a few sharks. Yeah.
Did the sharks scare you when you saw them?
It did the first time, but then like you kind of realize they stay like to themselves, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
What's the biggest thing you'd say that you learned during this trip?
I'm really big. I like bigger cities, so I'm not very small town. I don't really like living in a small town, so it's just really nice to be able to get out of that every once in a while and see like what's ahead of me for the future. So I really like to experience all other cultures
Why should other students take up an opportunity like this in the future?
because it really widens your view on other people along with other places to live, because a lot of kids just are born in Iowa, they grow up in Iowa, they go to school in Iowa, and they go back to their hometown and live there. And I think that if kids had more opportunities like this, then they could see other places to live and other careers that they would want to partake in.
So it might kind of push them to,
Yeah,
to leave.
out of their comfort zone, yeah.
Great. Anything else you want to tell us about the trip?
I don't know, it was pretty great. It was really great. It was fun.
Tanner, tell me what you were comparing and contrasting down here in the Keys.
I was comparing and contrasting zebra mussels up in the lakes to the giant African snail down here in the Keys, and what they water quality. But what I found out is the African snail is more of a land animal, and zebra mussel is more of a water.
Why did you pick that subject?
Because I wanted to do invasive species, and we have a lot of invasive species up in Iowa, but not a lot of water. We only have a couple, but I picked zebra mussels and then down here the snail.
Very cool. Did you find out what you kind of figured you were gonna find out?
Oh, no. I mean, I found newer stuff than I thought, but yeah.
Highlight of the trip.
Highlight of the trip would probably be canoeing in the Everglades. That was really scary, because there were gators and lots of them. But yeah, that was fun.
How close did you get to the gators?
I didn't get anywhere close to gators, but our tour guide, Marv, got about 3 feet from like the biggest crocodile in the Everglades. So yeah,
Pretty
it was
risky.
scary.
Definitely. Would you recommend doing this trip to other students back home in Iowa?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was really fun and you learn a lot.
Will you be down here in the Keys again anytime soon, you think?
Hopefully, I'd like to. I'd love to come back down again and maybe rent a place, since I'll be 18 next a couple months. So yeah.
And what would be something you'd want to do if you come down again that you didn't get to do this time?
I'm not sure. We did a lot, so there's lots of here stuff to do. So you just got to find out what there else is to do. So yeah.
All right, Tyler, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. Tell me what you were comparing and contrasting down here in the Keys.
I was comparing the two school things between Iowa and Florida, and so I interviewed our principal, and then I interviewed Key West High School vice principal, and kind of compared like the grading scales and like the style of teaching and grading and stuff, because our school does something different, like standard-based grading and stuff like that. So I wanted to see the differences.
So after seeing the differences, which school do you want to be going to?
I honestly liked Spirit Lake in Iowa more, because I don't know, they're a lot more traditional down here, and we're kind of moving into something different right now. And we sat in a couple of their classrooms, and I don't know, I like kind of our style of teaching more, but it's different for everyone. So
Now I understand that you all had to keep a journal during your time here, and you are labeled as the Journal King. So what all would you write about?
oh, I just wrote about everything we did that day. I liked this part of this was a requirement that we had to do for the trip, and so I like that idea. And so like 20 years from now, I could go back and read what I did on the trip, and then even if there's someone else who I'd recommend the trip to, like next year, I can tell them some of the stuff we did.
Right, and that's very small print. So
Yeah.
And you filled that thing up. So you
Yeah.
did a lot of writing during
Yeah.
this trip.
Yeah.
Great. What would you say was, what did you learn most, I should say, at the end of this trip?
I was really surprised that I wasn't expecting to learn like so much about the plants here. Like there's so much that the plants do with the area, and like the mangroves, they have so much purpose and use around the area. And we went to a lot of parks, and the rangers were telling us about all the little things that these different plants and animals did, and I was really impressed and surprised by how many things that make a difference here.
Your supervisors, I haven't really asked any of the other students about this. How were your two teachers?
They were awesome. They're really, like, before we went, I was so excited that these two were going with us, because they're like the two that I would like pick out at anyone at our school. They're just so awesome. Even in Spirit Lake, they're just so awesome. They're nice to all the kids and very awesome.
Anything else you want to add about the trip?
The group that went was just a perfect group. We all got along pretty well, and I think a lot of the kids said like they learned more on this trip than they did in like an entire semester. So it was a lot different, and it was really cool to experience it.
A great learning experience. Awesome. All right, Jacob, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. Tell me what you were comparing and contrasting down here in the Keys.
I was comparing and contrasting like law enforcement and the top 3 to 5 crimes that occur in Northwest Iowa versus Southern Florida. So it was really cool to kind of see, what that was, and we actually visited the police department down here. So that was really cool just to see how a police department works in a bigger area, because back home ours is smaller, so it was cool just to see how it works on a bigger scale down here. So,
What's the top crime in Iowa?
it was either DUIs or domestic assault. Those were like the top 2, I think. So one of those was number 1. But,
Were they similar to down here?
yeah, down here it was like domestic assault, DUI, and I forget the third. But yeah, it was
Very
pretty similar, just a little bit of variation. So
Did you go into the jail down here?
we went into the Monroe County Jail. Yeah, down in Key West. So,
And what do you think about that?
very big, kind of creepy, honestly. But it was. I'm glad we went in there. It was cool to see like a big jail like that, that you see on TV all the time. So it's cool to actually be in there. So.
Right. What would you say was the highlight of the trip for you, besides the jail, besides the weather?
Yeah, it was all great, but I really liked the Everglades and like canoeing there and stuff, because you kind of got to go in to a part of the Everglades that you really can't get to unless you're in a canoe, and not everyone wants to do that. So that was really cool just to be able to see that part of the Everglades. So.
The end of the trip is here. Would you say that this was what you expected coming down here?
Coming down here, I knew it was going to be a lot of fun, but after being here, I feel like I learned way more than kind of what I expected, I guess, and we still had tons of fun at the same time. Like, this group that we went with was great. I wouldn't have wanted, any other teachers or people. It was great. So.
All right, Ethan, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. What were you comparing and contrasting down here in the Keys?
I was comparing the healthcare and technologies in hospitals.
Did you find a big difference down here?
There weren't too many differences in the technology, but the one big difference that stood out was how much nurses get paid in Iowa compared to Florida. And Iowa has some of the lowest wages compared to Florida's.
That was pretty shocking to probably see.
It was.
Yeah. What would you say was the highlight of the trip for you?
My highlight was anything we did in the Everglades. I loved canoeing. I loved the sluice log. That was my favorite because I was really pushing my comfort zone. Because I've never done something like that before, and it was really exciting.
Right. Was it what you expected, the Florida Keys?
No, I've never heard much about the Florida Keys, and I've never been here. I've never even been this far south before. It was really exciting for me.
So you'll come back again.
I'll definitely come back someday.
Tell me, what was something, what would you say was probably the thing that you learned most about during this trip?
Definitely the fact that the Everglades is the most fragile and unique ecosystem on the planet. I never knew it was that big of a deal. I just thought it was another swamp down in the south, but I guess it's really important.
Would you recommend this trip to other students back in Iowa?
I would definitely recommend it. I learned so much and it was really fun.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
That should be all.
Jacob, tell me what you were comparing and contrasting down here in the Keys.
I was comparing art.
Art.
I didn't really pick like a main or a specific art. It was just
Art in general.
yeah.
And what did you think about the art down here in Key West? Especially, they're definitely known for their artists on the island.
It seems a lot more contemporary than up here. I mean, there is some contemporary art in Iowa, but I guess art in general is a bit smaller back where we are, but yeah, that's really the main difference.
Did you get to talk with any of the artists out here in Key West?
I did. She said her main focus was just to keep putting out work and to keep making money so she could continue to make art.
In Iowa, where you're from, would you say art is a big part of the community, or you mentioned that it was smaller there?
I think in some parts, but not a ton of art. I don't know.
What would you say was the highlight of the trip for you, Jacob?
Probably maybe Sluice Logging. That was pretty fun.
Was that in the Everglades?
Yes.
Okay, so it seems like everybody, the majority of everybody, that was kind of their highlight of the trip, was the Everglades. Would you recommend this trip to other students in Iowa?
I would. It was really fun.
Had you been to the Florida Keys before?
No, I haven't been this south before.
Was it
Pretty cool.
everything you expected and more?
Yes. Yeah.
So you would definitely come back down here.
Yep. Hopefully.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, Mick, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. My first question is, did you catch a fish as big as the one on your shirt?
No, I did not. I was puking the majority of the time.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has a deep sea first experience,
Yeah.
and I got sick
That
my
was my
time.
first. So that went.
So you were ready to get off the boat by the end of the day.
Yeah, I was.
Besides the deep sea experience, what was your favorite part down here?
That's kind of hard to say. I mean, there's just so much stuff to do down here. I mean, there was jet boating, the sluice log, got a nasty cut right there from it. You know, there's so much to do. I mean, saw a crocodile or an alligator.
Did that scare you?
It scared Tanner. He's off camera, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it was just a great trip.
And
Key West was really fun. What were you gonna say?
What were you comparing and contrasting?
I was contrasting. Well, I was like researching invasive species both in Iowa and here. So like we've got invasive species in Iowa would be like the Asian carp or zebra mussels. Then down in Florida, I was doing the Burmese python. You know, really big snake. Yeah.
Did you see one?
No, fortunately not.
Had you ever been down to the Keys before?
No, I've never been this far south before at all.
Was this what you expected?
No.
What did you think about the people down here?
I liked it down here a lot. It's different than in Iowa. It's a lot different.
What would you say is the biggest difference besides the weather?
A lot of the way that people just kind of act down here, they're a lot more relaxed.
Laid back lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lot more laid back down here than it
We
is.
call that the Keys disease.
Yeah.
You get a little too laid back sometimes.
Yeah, it's nice.
What would you say to other students in Iowa about your trip? If you could describe it in just a couple sentences.
Well, I'd say that it's amazing, and if you have the opportunity to do it, definitely do it.
Great.
That's what I'd say.
Anything else?
No, that's about it. That's the gist of it.
All right, Jerry, why don't you first of all just describe this trip to the Keys, the name, kind of talk about what exactly it is that you're doing down here.
Perfect. 4 years ago, our school went to what we call J-term, which is a 3-week period of time between first semester and second semester, starting right after the holiday break, the Christmas break. And when they decided to do that, my other co-conspirator with me, Sharon, and I were talking about what we would like to do. And we had a couple of ideas, and at that time I had a son who was living in Homestead. And I said, you know, that might be some place to go. And we both lit up, why not? Get away from Iowa for 2 weeks in the wintertime and get paid for it? You know, how much better can it be? And so we began thinking about it and working on it, and I've always been interested in the environment, the protection of our environment. Sharon has also. So this became a natural for us to do this. And so each, as you have interviewed youngsters, each of the kids have to pick a specific area. They have to then research both in Iowa and here, compare, contrast. When we get back, they have to have a 15-minute presentation to the community on each student, 15 minutes, so it's like from 4:30 to 7. And they also have to write a newspaper article, which will be published in our local newspaper.
Wow. So they've got some assignments when they get back.
Yes, they do. They have a day and a half to do it. We give them Wednesday morning free to sleep in. No, that's for me to sleep in.
So the trip is coming to an end. How happy are you about how everything turned out this time around?
What pleases me, you heard a couple of students say that they learned more in this 2 weeks down here than in an entire semester. And I don't think that's being critical of any subject, but when you have the ability to actually be in an inquiry-based situation where you're asking questions and you're experiencing it firsthand, you learn more and it sticks more. And one of the things that one of the students said to me was some of the things we're hearing over and over and over again as we went to different places, so it was being reinforced. And they were also very pleased to the fact that the same information was being shared by different park rangers, by different just community people.
Great. This year's group that you took, how great were the students in this group?
Oh, they were okay. No, they were great.
No problems, no fights?
We did not have one fight, we didn't have one problem. The only issue is they didn't let me get enough sleep.
Yeah. And you had to do all the driving, I understand.
Yes, we drove over 2,000 miles, and that's one of the reasons we stay in Marathon, because we go all the way up into the Everglades and all the way out to Dry Tutorgas, and this is a good middle of the road spot, so it's not too far any direction.
Great. Will you be coming back next year?
Hopefully, yes.
Good. Please visit me when you do.
We will, we will.
Right.
And you can come up to Iowa and visit us.
I'll have to do that. I'm from Indiana, so not too far away.
That you know what the winters are like up there then. And in fact, one of our students has one of the Key West High School students wanting to come up and go snowmobiling.
Okay.
And another one is flying a young lady up for prom, I understand, maybe.
Oh, neat. Well, thank you so much, Sharon.
All right.
I think what you guys
And thank
are
you.
doing is wonderful. All right, Sharon, I think what you guys have done is absolutely amazing. And I know it's been a great experience for the students, but it also has had to have been a great experience for you.
It is an awesome experience. You know, I don't know if you've ever been involved with a garage sale, but when you're getting ready for it, you say, you know, I'm never going to do this again. This is so much work. And then when you have it, and you go, oh, that was really worth it. That's kind of like this experience. Jerry and I do a lot of front loading for this trip. It goes very, very smoothly, but we have many, many contacts. And it's the end of a semester, and we're trying to tie up a semester with regular classes. And then we're trying to have all these contacts. We have emails and texts coming in all day. And you say, oh, goodness, I don't know if this is worth it. This is a lot of work. And then we come down here and it all unfolds, and it's, yeah, so worth it.
Wonderful.
So
Now,
worth it.
I've been asking all the students their highlight of the trip, like that memory that just sticks out in their mind. What is that memory for you?
You know, I don't have a certain memory, but what I love to see is all the byproduct that comes from this trip. Yeah, we learn a lot about the ecosystems, we learn a lot about caring for the environment, we volunteer. Boca Chica, we did a beach cleanup in the Everglades, we volunteer like 3 projects and then they compare. But a sidebar that happens is the daily living skills. Every night there's a paper on the counter and they have to make their grocery list. 2 people are on the cooking and they're in charge of packing the cooler in the morning, buying the groceries the night before, and cooking the meal and cleaning it up. They also keep a budget. They all tell us how much they have for spending money, and they keep a ledger going all the time. And it's just the byproducts to see them mature as young, independent adults. It's just amazing to watch that happen to me.
And a lot of the students said this was a life-changing experience for them, so that has to make you feel so good as...
Yeah, I kind of loved sitting here listening to these interviews, Miss Jenna. It was fun to hear what these yahoos thought was wonderful. Yeah, and thank you for the compliment as teachers. That was wonderful of you guys.
Yeah, the students were very pleased with you guys
Yeah.
as well. Why do you think it's so important that the students do this throughout the school year? Like, what would you say is the number one reason why everybody should experience something like this?
Well, you know, I think we all heard through the interviews how they grew as people. And I think anytime you put any of us outside of our comfort zone, that we're stretched, never to return to the same shape. So, Jerry, you have a great quote that you use sometimes. Can you tell me what that might be?
Gotta remember it now.
Once a person is stretched outside of their comfort zone.
That their life is never the same.
Say that
Never
on
to
camera
return.
one more time.
Once a student's life is stretched outside of their comfort zone, they'll never be the same.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add about this trip?
Just lights out early tonight, guys, and it better be sparkling clean in here when we leave.
That's great. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.